Here we go. Let's try paper piecing this adorable little Bichon Frise using my patterns. I'm made by Marney, and I'm going to help you through the first couple of pieces. This is what the pattern looks like. It tells you on the bottom how many copies to make, and then it shows how those pieces are cut out with a 1/4 inch seam allowance around every piece. Like this, for instance. This is piece A. You can see I've left a 1/4 inch of extra paper around each piece. That's why you need multiple copies to be able to do that. So I'm going to do piece A and B, and then we're going to sew those two pieces together so the red lines will be attaching here and here. So first, piece A. I can see that I need a blue and a light gray in this segment. This is called a segment. This is piece 1, this is piece 2, and they are going to make up segment A. So my blue is going to be this blue. I flip it over to the wrong side, and I put the back of the pattern so that piece 1 fits on my scrap, and the back of the pattern is touching the wrong side of the fabric. That's the only piece that I pin on. Piece 2 is going to be folded back along the line between 1 and 2. So I'm lining up any piece of cardstock, bookmark, greeting card, whatever you have, and bending piece 2 along that line. And now I'm going to trim it, and I can trim it either with a scissors or with my 1/4 inch trimming ruler and a radial cutter. I usually do this part just by hand, and I'm going to definitely do it by hand because I'm on a wool mat, not a cutting mat. Okay, so now I have a 1/4 inch seam allowance at the between 1 and 2. Now I'm going to sew piece 2 onto piece 1. It's a light gray. I'm going to make sure that the two right sides are together. All I need is a straight edge on any side of my fabric. I'm going to line this up so the two seam allowances are together. They're even. I don't want to have it too low. I don't want to have it right in the middle. I want to have it so I'm not wasting a lot of fabric, but yet everything behind this piece right now has gray fabric behind it. So afterwards, I'm going to flip them both in place. So right now it's just bent. I'm going to open it, take it to my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew from here, a 1/4 inch before the red line, and on there, and a 1/4 inch below the red line. So I'm going to sew from here to here on this line using a 1.5 seam stitch length, which is about 20 stitches per inch. So I've already done that. Now remember, this was right sides touching. Okay, so when you pinned this piece on, the right side was facing away from the pattern. And then you sewed those together, and you get this. So now I've sewn this, and now I'm going to flip this in place behind piece 2. So there's piece 2. So now piece 2 has fabric, and I'm going to press it nice and flat. So now there's fabric behind piece 2, but I've got a nice big scrap here so I can trim away some of this fabric. I always use scraps that are a decent size and then trim them after. I don't try to cut the piece to fit before I sew it. That's kind of crazy because it never works. Okay, now A is finished. Set that aside. Here's B. I'm going to do piece 1, then add 2, then add 3. Always do it in the numbered order they're giving you. Now remember, first piece, you put it on the wrong side. So piece 1, I have to make sure there's fabric all the way around underneath piece 1. Pin it down. Right side's facing away. I hope you saw that. I think it was out of position. And then I take this because I need to bend the line between 1 and 2. Bend it. Trim it to a 1/4 inch. Save this nice scrap for another piece of gray, and trim some of this extra gray off that you don't need. You just need gray behind piece 1. Keep this folded. Take your light gray, find a straight side, and line up the seam allowances. Take it to your sewing machine. This time I'm going to sew 1/4 inch before the line, across the line, and 1/4 inch behind the line. You don't have to back tack anything. I've already done that on this piece. Already sewed it. Now I'm going to press it open and trim away some of that extra fabric. I need it behind piece 2. I always am generous when I trim. Always leave extra, just in case. I still have to do piece 3. Find the line between 3 and the other pieces. Bend it. Now see this little area that's sewn into? Rip those couple of stitches out so you can fold it flat. Just rip it. Now trim this to 1/4 inch. Again, you can use a ruler for all this trimming if you want to. Now this piece is dark gray, so I'm lining it up on any straight edge. Let's see if it fits here. I could use up this corner. Beautiful. I'm going to go and sew that, flip that, and then trim off what I don't need, and then piece 2, B will be finished. And then I'm going to take, make believe B is done. I'm going to take A and B, just make believe B is done. I'm going to trim both of them to 1/4 inch from that line. I use a cutter for that, but I'm just going to cut it. I mean, I use a radial cutter for that and a ruler, but I'll just cut it now so you can see what I'm doing. And trim this one as well with a radial cutter and a ruler. I don't have a mat here, so I can't use the cutter. And then you put the right sides together. You can see A goes to B. Right sides together, stick a pin into the end of the red line. That's the beginning of it. I like this mat underneath because I can poke it in there, and then I can kind of rotate this into position. Stick that through, make sure they're matching well. Go to your sewing machine, sew on the red line and 1/4 inch before and after it. Rip the paper away from the seam allowance and then press it open, and you'll have A and B completed. Give it a try.